that, say economy and things like that. But the major solution we must find is how we coexist. Okay? How, if me, for example, I don't belong to any party, am I going to relate to Mr. Mkondo, who belongs to the Patriotic Front, and he has certain ideas that he's trying to sell to me? How am I going to relate to a person like, as an example, Muita Nawa, who is UPND, and he has a totally different ideas, so coexistence and, consensus building, because at the end of the day, even the best ideas may not be accepted by everyone. I may have a brilliant idea to build a hospital in Shangombo, but when I get down to the ground, I find that the people of Shangombo actually don't need a hospital just yet. Their priority is something else. Their priority could be a road, So when I go to do a hospital, instead of prioritizing the road that those people want, questions will be asked. So some people will think I'm a bad leader, yet, my vision is probably something else. I'm thinking of the people's health first before I do the road, because I believe that when I take care of the health needs of the people, they will be able to contribute to building that road. You see, so it's all ideas.
It's all ideas.
It's all ideas, and it's all a clash of ideas. But this clash of ideas should never make us enemies. It should never make us shed blood. It should never make us be divided. Others being calling you, Comrade Caesar, based on your tribe, because at the end of the day, look, on my NRC, it will tell you I'm from the Eastern Province. I may have been there. Let me give an example of my daughter's NRC. When you see the village there, Chief Musoro, village Makoleka, the girl has no idea
of the village.
She's here in the city interacting with a cosmopolitan of other people, other tribes, So at the end of the day, we are a tribe called Zambian, So it's the new face that we need to bring, like Mr. Mkondo had said.
Right, Mr. Mkondo, your contribution also.
Yes, sir. He has spoken very well, especially that he has defined what politics is all about and what democracy is all about, and that is a battle of ideas. And it's imperative that we coexisted into this Zambia of ours. And what is important, he talked about the values of family, and his daughter is an example of an ultimate product of what Zambia is, one Zambia, one nation, where you have a child, 100% cosmopolitan, who was born here. He doesn't know where he comes from, but he knows that she's Zambian. So basically, I think the other thing which he talked about, which you believe in as a patriotic, that one of conceptual building, where you find that we have different views of how to go forth as a nation, how to develop this nation. It's important that we do some concession, and I think that's what has made us to be where we are as today as a nation. And then also, it's coming in. It tells us that constitutional building does not only talk of the upper echelons, talking of the constitution itself, but the implementation should be on the individual level. How do we coexist? And that is having a leader of an apologetic heart. And it reminds me of David. Why we cherish David today? It's because of the man whom God has clarified that was after God's heart. So when you say that a man who is after God's heart, what does it mean? It's all about asking for forgiveness. And for us, as the Patriot Front, I think what defines us and what should define us should be leaders with a heart that should be apologetic, a heart that should be asking for forgiveness of the people, so that we move forward. And we shouldn't be, I think, should I say, sorry about it, but it should be the way forward. And I think, as I've already said, we should speak as the new face of Zambia, especially that we are the people who are interacting on a everyday basis, every minute, every second with our Zambian people through the social media platform. And is coming beyond this, as I said, the facade of social media. Whatever we post, as they said, that whatever we speak, as he said, I would want to agree with him 100%. Propaganda should not mean something negative. Propaganda should not mean only something positive, but it's a mix of both. And it's important that once we have a mix of both, to present to society, we must have that task of working extremely hard that we clean what is good and what should be for the family. And they have spoken what is important, that these ideas, once we bring them forth, they should be ideas that should be clean of any malice. So for me, I think social media and this interaction and what has come out, it speaks volume, and it speaks of a clean slate as politicians, especially that we have this cyber act which has been put in place. It is trying to show us that you must have a human face. It's not just a matter of you post something, you forget, you go and sleep. It sits there even for 2 years. Somebody will be complaining, somebody wouldn't reach you. But this time around, I think the authorities, especially through, I think, the Zambia Police, Woodlands, they did a commendable job. They got in touch with the Secretariat, who eventually briefed me on what was transpiring. And I had to explain to everyone that this was supposed to be the position. And I spoke to him that this is what I will represent, the political party that I represent. Even if it is not authored in this one, but by merely sharing, it means that we are surrendering.
Can we say in previous times you have you shared a lot of false publications?
Comrade
Slanderous
Caesar,
information against
what is
other people?
very exciting that that's a brilliant question. What is exciting that this is the first time that somebody confronted us, and we have had instances whereby other people would say, "This is what is happening." We would drop immediately, but this one, it took almost 1 month, and I think he came even on our blog. He had the traces. He had indicated that he had a complaint, but unfortunately we didn't trace this complaint correctly. But what it is that there are some information which we can be sharing here and there, but there is importance of the authors, and then also those who are affected. If their names are mentioned, they should come forth so that we
All right,
make
let me
both
ask
sides.
you this question.
Side of
If he did not complain on your platform, that is, he feels injured, and would you have reverted to him? Would you have gone back to him to say, "We have seen your complaint"?
Definitely.
until you
You know,
waited for police to come
the way social media moves and the way social media is driven is that we have a lot of information that unfortunately we do not get to the authors. But looking at the genuineness of the information, and you find that even the journalists themselves who are running ZMBC or running Radio Phoenix, all these other media, they could see that this content is genuine. But where somebody comes up and then say, even if it looks very genuine, it's not me who said it. If you look in the example that we have of our comrade Maiko Zulu, the information was very educative. The information was condemning violence and it was condemning the UPND. But he brought the other dynamics of saying, I'm not the one who said this. So that is in itself slander. So we had to apologize to him, and we had to say that since this information was, as we indicated that in our post, we had said source, it was social media. That still did not amount to running out to the problem of saying that it was not him. So he approached us and he said that this information, it was not genuine, it was not actually coming from other sources. So coming to your question that you have said, there could be a lot of information that we have shared that had no direct feedback because of time. You know, we are living in a society whereby everything is very fast, and if we were to start getting back to the sources of information, you find that it will take us ages. Especially that on the information desk, we also share international news. We also share a lot of sources that involves the villages. But if we were to start looking for the sources, it would take time. But we look at the genuine origination of that source. Like in this case, information, we shall not communicate. So basically, I think that's where we stand.
But Mr. Zulu, they took as PF Information Publicity Desk that publication because it was talking against the UPND. So it was good information for PF to share. Now you as a social justice and human rights defender, sometimes people that are in that category of activism are perceived to be opposition or pro-opposition in this country. Have you been accused of being a UPND at some point?
Many times. Many times. I think sometime if I'm not mistaken, I came across some comment to say, no, these guys got 500 million from UPND and things like that. But those are labels that come with the kind of activism. We've had allegations from both ends. So it's at the end of the day, I think what is important, like you said, in this particular case, where a story that was sending a good message and, you know, purported to have been coming from, I'm not blowing my own horn, but a good person, you know, was still not credible. Okay? It was still not credible. It was not authored by me. You know, so whether it was a good story, the fact that, you know, because at the end of the day, all of us have to be responsible for what we utter. All of us have to be responsible for what we post on social media or anywhere else. Even as I come on radio, what I say here, what I utter, is the sole responsibility of myself. You know, so if I insult somebody here on radio, they are not going to prosecute Comrade Caesar or Comrade Kondo. They'll come for me because I must be responsible as an individual. You see, in a democracy, in as much as, you know, we are free to express ourselves, you know, it's more, what is more important is the responsibility, taking responsibility of what we say and how we express ourselves, you know. So I guess it's the new form of coexistence, because, you know, before social media, Comrade Caesar, our general form of gathering, of discussing, was maybe over a beer for the adults, you know, before they come home, they go to their joint. For some of us young people, it was over like a small radio set. It was community-based, you know, so it was interactive. It was like physical interaction, you know. But now, you know, we have this platform, this social media, where I'm able to discuss now with somebody who is, you know, at the furthest point of the earth, you know. In real time, we are discussing and we are sharing ideas. So, caution has to be exercised. We need to understand that behind the keyboard, okay, there is a human being, okay, and whoever opens that and reads is a human being, okay. So in as much as, you know, this is a free platform, because I mean it's literally free, you know, you don't need to own an advertising company for you to advertise on Facebook, you know, everybody is there, and, you know, it's also taking over most of the mainstream media, you know, so you find that in most cases we do not take caution of, you know, the other person, especially on celebrities and popular people. You know, for me, I find it, sorry to use the word disgusting, to read certain.
You have used it, so
Yes,
you can't say sorry.
I'm apologizing if it's in bad taste, but I still use it. But it's quite disgusting to see some of the comments just on a general story, you know. And, you know, you find that and this is a danger, we are slowly turning into a Facebook republic, okay? A Facebook, not a normal Facebook republic, but a Facebook banana republic. You see, where, you know, you have every Jim and Jack wanting to make a comment on anything. When, you know, somebody issues a statement, instead of analyzing it for the good of it, you know, what you see is petty insults, you know. I think we need to get back to the days when there was respect, not just for our fathers and mothers at home, but for general society, you know. In those days, Caesar, when you and I were growing, you could not stand with your girlfriend and your neighbor, an adult neighbor, is passing and you're just there. Okay, we had a certain level of respect for adults, you know. Age came with a privilege, you know, but right now, people even insult bishops. People insult the head of state, you know. People insult anybody. They insult their mothers, the women, you know. We are all over. We've just gone berserk. And so we need to realize as a community, as a society, as a country, that, you know, social media can either build us or destroy us. Believe me, we can find solutions. We can create solutions on social media. Even just Facebook itself, forget WhatsApp, but we can discuss solutions. But, you know, unfortunately, especially for our young people, platforms like Facebook are there for you to show your relevance, you know, and, you know, just to voice out. Okay, I'll say it just for the sake of saying this, you know. So we need to exercise caution. We need to build, you know, we have these national values. When you listen to these national values, if just 1/3 of Zambians could abide by those national values, believe me, our country would be at a different place.
Right.
We would look at things differently. We would look at contributing to national development a whole lot differently.
Right, 0950650916 and 0974760894, the two numbers that you can start calling us now for your question or comment regarding what we're discussing. I have in the studio PF Information and Publicity Desk Chief Admin Chandela Erasmus Mukondo and Social Justice and Human Rights Defender Maiko Zulu. They know you as a musician. Maybe
Yes.
stop singing. Maybe stop music.
That's what I am. I mean, where do I do my show with COVID, comrade? I have a whole venue to myself, my own venue, and it's our stage is rotting because, you know, the COVID guidelines cannot allow us. You know, it's a challenge. You know, so but those are solutions that, you know, we are now utilizing the social media platform. I think some of our works, you are seeing them on social media, so it's a whole new dimension for us. It's a whole new challenge.
It's a new normal. So,
Especially for live actual musicians, you know, it's easier for people that, you know, what I call surrogate, you know, in our industry, those don't live off music. Some of us, that is our bread and butter, so it's a great challenge.
Indeed. Now, how can we use social media in enhancing democracy? You talked about the national values. Let me get from you, Mr. Mukondo. How can we use it to enhance democracy?
I think, you know, today we have somebody who is an epitome and then also a classic good example of what we talk about when we are talking about those people are 100% affected by social media and then also the revolution of this world. And he's an example. when we talk about how the pandemic is affecting everyone, I think is an example of how the pandemic has affected a musician, how it has affected an ordinary person on the ground. And I think he has talked about the solutions, and that's the way forward. He has spoken about virtually speaking to the people, and I think social media now is the only, I think it's the only path that we are all struggling to use, that we get to our audience out there. Even today, as I speak, I think virtual rallies are being held by the Patriot Front, by the Secretariat every weekend, and I think it should be weekly. Now, very soon to be on a daily basis, so that we get in touch with our people. And he has spoken about the same. For him to continue surviving, it's not just being a surrogate, but he breaks from the same industry. And how does he survive? How does he feed his family? It's through being productive, and then also making sure that we change with the times. So basically, I think for us as the Patriot Front, he has spoken about what is very cardinal, the national values. And among the important values that he said that if just a quarter of us Zambians, out of the 18 million, let's say a quarter of 18 million could be 6 million, believed in these national values, to mean that this country will change instantly. And I think for me, it's a challenge, and it's a leadership indicator of what we need to target us. So basically, when you talk about social media, its impact and where we're going, it reminds me of what I've been reading about Russia. How Russia has evolved itself into a social media governance or country. Also, the United States of America, you hear about social media, just smaller things, they mean a lot. And then in 2011, I think that's when we had reached that maturity of social media and the aspect of its influence. When we remember, we remind ourselves of the Arab Spring, how dictators were gotten rid of from Middle East. So basically, with me, when I have this battle with him, when I had this battle and we still have this battle with him, it reminds me of what he has been talking about. We need to become human. We don't need to be keyboard warriors. We don't need to just be warriors of people who are just talking about ourselves, but we should talk about the values that we stand for. And for me, coming out here to agree with him, to accept my position, it's 100% believing that I also represent that face of the Patriot Front, that leadership in this country that talks about preaching reconciliation, peace and love. So I think it's an opportunity for me to show the other side of me, that I can be a repentant person, I can be a person who can accept that I'm in the wrong position, and to accept anything, the proposals that he talked about. And from there, I think this is the way forward. It's him even proposed about coming up with a national agenda, the way we have come out today, so that we may preach the same to the people out there. It should not just end on, no, I've forgiven you, go home, you can continue with ordinary. But he is trying to show me also leadership. A leadership which is coming from his justice point of view, social justice point of view, and that is of we should take a step further, and that is the way we have come here on the radio, discuss about it, so that it should not just end on social media, but it should end on an education level, so that tomorrow other leaders, our children that we have, yes, children have children, should emulate us, should talk about what did our father do when social media was in its infancy. What did our father say? How did they interact? So I think it brings to us that challenge of how do we interface with this social media, with the coming in also of this new cyber law, which is very cardinal, very important. And I would want to appeal to those people who are saying that cyber law was meant only for those who are in opposition, was only to cover those who are not in government. But look, here I am. I found myself that this is a potential case which can easily take me to behind the bars. But it's important that I should show a human face. Even if I was to be argumentative, it can take 3 to 4 years, but the fact of the matter is that it's a wrong. Let's make this one as an example so that we do not use slander to be used, to be part of the political language or narrative.
Alright.
So basically for us, and this is what I'm learning from now. So I think our narrative should be that one of national building. Our narrative should be that one of let us have that 1/4 of our Zambian people who can change this nation. It does not only call for those who are in leadership, but for everyone. And the way my brother here has come, it's leadership in itself. It's leadership in itself, and we are trying to change what social media is. If we do not meet the two of us, then it will mean no one will be brave enough to change, to bring that new face of interaction when it talks to when we talk about social media.
Right.
So I think this is the challenge that I have today.
Okay, we have officially opened the phone lines. The numbers are 0950-650-916 and 0974-760894. I have in the studio PF Information and Publicity Desk Chief Admin Chandela Erasmus Mukondo and Michael Zulu, who is a social justice and human rights defender.